Friends. Luke has been a recognized outdoors writer for the past 3 decades and writes for a host of outdoor publications. Luke pens a weekly newspaper outdoors column that appears in over 40 Texas newspapers. Luke is on the pro staff of Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything air gun related. Smoking techs, electric smokers, feel free to contact Luke through his website, catfishradio.org. Now let's join Luke and his guests for this week's show.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for that nice introduction. And, folks, it's time for us to have some fun here on Catfish Radio. The first segment for the last 18 and a half years is Campfire Talk. And Campfire Talk with my good friend, Larry Weishuhn. Larry's been with me 18 years. And it's time, Larry. Are you you're out there around the campfire?
I certainly am, Luke, and really appreciate everybody being with us and all the stations doing the great job they do and telling people about our show as well, too. But I have to say thank you to VSC, Conservation Education, Hunter Advocacy, Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable stealth vision made in Texas or put together there in Texas in Crockett County. Fantastic optics. Vineyard Max just down the road, not too far from you and from Nacogdoches. So the best, no, I'll take that back. The best deer bait there is in the world.
Yes,
and it's also feeders and all kinds of other great hunting products. And then Taurus handguns. I love the Taurus Raging Bulls, Mossberg rifles, and I want to start off, if you don't mind, and just do a real quick recap of my trip to Maine with Randy Flannery up at the Wilderness Escape Lodge. Had a great time up there. Now, this is a really weird year up there in that they had really good rains and moisture early on in the spring. When it got into the early part of the summer, it dried. Most of the lakes that we were around, including the one where Randy's Lodge is, was down about 4 or 5 feet. We fished a little bit there for smallmouth, caught some smallmouth, but because it's so dry and there's no food available in the forest, if you will, for bears, a lot of the older bears, particularly the old boars, and they have pretty much all gone to their dens, which is about a month or so early for them to do so. It's just kind of a conservation of energy. I did get to shoot a bear the last afternoon. It was a 6-day hunt, had 10 minutes of the hunt remaining, and a bear came in, and I ended up shooting it with my Rossi 4570 with the Hornady ammo, but had a great time up there. Looking forward to going back next year. And while we're there, you and I got invited. You and Jeff and I actually got invited. Come up and fish for smallmouth and whatever else we want to fish up there anytime that we want to. So, somebody's interested in a American bear hunt or just a great vacation on a beautiful lake or anything like that, they can go to Wilderness Escape Lodge or Wilderness Escape Outfitters. And it's just a phenomenal place. But now it's on, we're not too far away from just a day or two, actually, for you to show up on the Choctaw. We'll recap that hunt for bear with David and Edgar Cotton here for too very long. But looking forward to getting you up there. And you and I I'm going to be filming you, actually, for Sportsman's Life.
Yes, sir. I am really fired up about that. Like I get fired up about any kind of hunt, but especially up there with you guys, that's going to be it's going to be a real treat. I look forward to going up there. And folks, Larry's talking about the Choctaw Hunting Lodge. It's in southeast Oklahoma. From Paris, Texas, to give you a reference, it's north. Maybe I don't think you can be there in less easily 45 minutes, maybe. I don't know, from Paris, cross the Red and heading northwest up there, but it's 44,000 acres. Some of it is leased land, and I think about half of it is where people Choctaw Hunting Lodge, where folks are hunting. And I killed a couple of bucks up there, a buck, and then last year I shot a big old fat doe. I didn't have long to hunt, and that's what I was looking for, some good venison, and boy, that I found it. Up there at the Choctaw Hunting Lodge, something that really sticks in my mind, Larry, is all those persimmon trees. I mean, there must be 5 acres. That little valley there. It's just,
yes, sir.
I've never seen so many persimmons. And
they're down a little bit compared. When you and I were there, was last year and even the year before, the limbs were breaking. There was some persimmons on them. Well, there are persimmons, but when I was up there and earlier, just not very long ago, actually, and there are persimmons there, but they're not the numbers of persimmons they normally have. It didn't look like they had quite the acorn crop. There were some trees that had quite a few acorns, and then you go into areas where you'd hardly even see an acorn. So it's going to be interesting. Because of that, I think those deer, I know Dusty's got, we've been using Vineyard Max on some of the bear baits, but I know that he's also put out a bunch of Vineyard Max as well, too. And some very select areas that he and I have been talking about getting you into. So it's going to be real interesting to see because, again, and the reason I mention that is because the baits, such as the Vineyard Max that we're using, I think are going to be a little bit more important even this year because they don't have quite that amount of natural food that we've had in the years past when we've been up there.
You bet. Let's bring up the hunting calibers real quick. I just happened this off the top of my head. The Creedmoor, when it came out, it was the craze. It took me a few years to catch on to what the Creedmoor really was. I'd shot my old 270, But
I'm going to interrupt you very quickly because the 270 and 6.5 Creedmoor are very similar. Where the difference comes in is that Creedmoor and 6.5 has a longer bullet, and so it's better at those extreme downrange as far as shooting targets. As far as shooting deer, it's when you get right down to it, you shoot a little bit heavier bullet than you can in 270, but it's essentially a 270 when you get right down to it.
It is, and I liken it a lot to a 243 because I shot one of those for a long, long time. And I looked at the ballistics; it's pretty similar to that too, but it was a craze. Everybody,
oh man, yes.
And then the Creedmoor got a lot of negative talk. It did. And I shot a deer. I actually had I hunted with a Creedmoor a couple of times, killed a couple of deer with it. Both of them, well, you recovered. You helped me. You found one of them that I shot. Right. It deadly shot, but it ran about 100 yards maybe. But so the 6.5 PRC.
Right.
That's what I've got now, and I don't know why I have so much more confidence in that. It's a little faster, but that's what I'll be hunting with. I have a CVA. It's called a Cascade, and it's in 6.5 PRC. I've got that Hornady, and Larry, that thing with that stealth scope, it's the same one that we took down at the stealth headquarters down there.
Absolutely right.
And,
yes, sir.
I checked it. Last week, it is right on. I mean, that thing, I don't know. You just get confidence. I have problems. I'll have one rifle that I guess it comes from many years of having only one deer rifle. But that thing, I've got confidence in it. I really do. It shoots great, and it's got just a little bit more punch than the Creedmoor, doesn't it? Just a bit more.
It really does. The thing about people need to remember with the PRC cartridges, and there's a 6.5, 7mm PRC, and a 300 PRC. Those are the ones that I've played with. The tolerance in the chambers of those guns is very, very, very small or very, very tight. And so I'm not big on cleaning rifles. I never have been. But one thing I've learned, if you're going to do a fair amount of shooting with the PRC rounds, you really need to clean that rifle periodically and clean it really good because, again, the thing is the tolerances it is such a tight fit in that chamber.
Okay.
So something to remember for those folks that have got them. And more people are getting them. I've got to say that one of my favorite rounds, I've got many of them
I know.
that I love, but I'm really liking the 7mm PRC. I've used it a fair amount now on different things, and that's the one that I like, and it's just because I can shoot a little bit heavier bullet in it in terms of accuracy, and it's like a shorter version of a 7mm Remington mag, but a little bit more powerful, and it's. Gosh, I have to say it does wonders. Just like that 6.5 that you're shooting, it's not. I'm not going to say it's the perfect whitetail deer gun, but I'll tell you what, it comes mighty close to it.
I'll be darned. Well, how is I hunted with a 7 mag back 25 years ago, I thought I had to
Right.
have one. How does this PRC, the 7 PRC, how it recoil say? Is it about like the 7
No,
mag? It shouldn't be. Yeah.
to me, it's actually less
Yeah.
than what it is. And again, all that can depend upon rifle design. Now there are a lot of rifles starting to be chambered for it, but
Mm-hmm.
the ones that I have shot in the Mossbergs and a few custom rifles here as of late, the recoil is very, very mild on that. And again, that has a lot to do with stock design and all those other kind of things. But to me, the recoil is considerably less than 7mm Remington mag, or even a Weatherby mag, or any of those others that are out there, 7mm mag type things.
Larry also. Bob Hood, the late Bob Hood, our friend that was the editor of the Fort Worth, the outdoor editor for the Fort Worth paper for 43 years. Me and Bob used to hunt together a whole lot, deer and turkey and you name it. And Bob had one, I'm telling you, and he could have had any deer rifle he wanted, or multitudes of them. He had one deer rifle he had two. He had a 243, and then he had a 30-06 that he used up in the mountains when he went up there. But the 243, old Bob, he was a kind of a dry jokester in a lot of ways. He really was. You never knew what the rascal was thinking.
Right.
But I'll tell you a Bob story. He was. He was in a hunting camp, and a bunch of younger dudes. I think honestly some of them were young outdoor riders. I believe they were. Anyway,
Yes, sir.
they had the 7 mags, the 300 Win mag, all that. They were packing some heavy artillery at this camp. And old Bob, he's told me this story several times. He said I showed up with he had an old Remington bolt action 243.
700. Yes,
That's what he had.
700.
Yeah, that was it. And he'd show up, scratched up and beat up, and he'd had it probably. Oh, Bob wasn't one to baby anything, including a camera. I mean, he had that old rifle in there. He said he come around the camp, they had the bolts back and everything safe, and they had their guns put up. They were looking at them, and this old boy had a Seiko or whatever, and 300
Right.
Win mag. If you not a Win back then, Win mag 300. That was what you had. Bob pulled that one out, and one of these young dudes said, "You gonna hunt deer with that?" And Bob said, "Oh yeah, I've been hunting deer with this for decades." He said, "Well, 243, that's awful light for these big deer. The deer weigh 150 pounds." Anyway, the bottom line is, when all was said and done, Bob had his big buck on the meat pole, and he said,
I'm sure he did.
He said, "I didn't say anything."
No.
But the 300 Win mag with a bad shot, the deer don't run anyway. You know what I mean? So I think maybe some of those guys learned that maybe it's all about where you put that bullet. Big part of it.
It's bullet and bullet placement when you get right down to it. During the years I shot, I did a podcast with I can't even remember the name of the podcast up there in Northeast Texas not very long ago with John, and I went through a list. He was asking me how many calibers I'd used on deer. And it was, I'm not going to tell you the number, but it was well above 50, long way above 50. But during those years that I served on staff at Shooting Time magazine and a lot of the other shooting and hunting magazines, every year we used 8 or 10 different kind of rounds of new rifles and all that kind of stuff. So I had the opportunity to field test a lot of different rifles, a lot of calibers, and a lot of rounds as well too. And so, yeah, the 243, although I've shot deer with it, I probably have shot fewer deer with it than a lot of the others. Well, I know I have. But that was a great round in shot placement. And same thing with that 30-06. I'll tell you what, today, even though it's over 100 years old, that 30-06 with good Hornady ammo, it's hard to beat on almost anything. I've shot elk and moose and everything else with it.
The most versatile. Larry, I'm not through talking calibers and deer hunting. Can we take a quick break and come right back? I want to talk some more hunting with you.
I'd love to.
Friends, Mr. Larry Weishuhn is going to tell you about the finest hunting optics that we have ever found.
Look, these are called Stealth Vision. They come from Crockett, Texas. Dr. John McCall developed them. They're 34 millimeter tubes as opposed to the narrower tubes, so more light transmission. They have a little green light that comes on. That scope is leveled because that's when you want to pull the trigger. They have an optional lighted reticle as well too, and a whole lot of other products. And folks can learn more about them by going to stealthvision.com.
Folks, I want to introduce you to Vineyard Max. Now, this is an awesome deer attractant, a food attractant that's made with hammer-milled grape skin, dried hammer-milled grape skins. It has a mixture of rice bran and also corn chops. Very effective. Deer can smell the scent of grapes from a long way, and it brings them in. I've used it in West Texas out with Larry Weishuhn, and we were out there where deer are not even exposed to grapes, and they came right in. Also, Vineyard Max has a very good line of game and fish feeders. Check them out online, vineyardmax.net. Friends, I want to tell you about an awesome camping destination, Wind Point Park on Lake Tawakoni. It's over on the far east side, kind of the northeast side of the lake. It's a pristine park. You can go there and view, I think they estimated a couple of hundred deer on that couple of hundred acres there. Cabins, beautiful RV park, fishing piers, docks. It's got everything you'd want in an outdoor destination. Check them out online at windpointparktx.com. Folks, this segment is made possible by Smoking Tex electric smokers that I've been using a long time, Ultramatic feeders. I'd like you to check out the big bore air gun that I've done a great deal of hunting with. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw, 50 caliber, pressures up to 3,000 psi, and it looks like a conventional rifle. Wooden stock. I think you'll like the appearance, and I know you'll like the performance. It shoots not only bullets, but also air bolts as well, tipped with a broadhead. Check it out. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw. Well, folks, thanks for sticking with us, and we still got Mr. Larry Weishuhn around the campfire. I didn't have enough hunting talk. It's deer season right now, and Larry is on point this morning we're talking about calibers and what works and what not. I think, Larry, we kind of left off there the fact that a lot of calibers and bullets are very, very, very important. You're still with me, aren't you, Larry? I'm doing all the time.
Yes, sir.
I'm
listening. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to be saying.
I'll tell this. I want to tell this little quick deal. Okay, so I was 30-30 kid. You know, that's all I knew. It's all I had till I was up in my 20s. And then all of a sudden, this 7 mag come out, 7 millimeter Remington mag, and I had to have one. Why I play with that? I'd read all the gun writers, you know, the 30-30 limited, and the 30-30 would have done anything I needed at the time. But I decided I've got to have one. I've got to have a 7 mag. Well, I'm hunting up in East Texas mostly, Larry. And I was hunting up in north of Jefferson in Marion County. And I never will forget, and back then, though I had I don't know if it was a special permit or what, but hunting international paper land, but doe were legal at that time. This was probably about, I don't know. I was probably upper 20s at the time. But anyway, I never will forget, I sat on the ground on a bucket, I think. I was on the ground looking down on this little creek bottom, and the doe actually wound up winning a heavy doe contest because she field dressed, I think it was 108 pounds, and which was a big doe back then. That still is a lot of places. Yeah, I won at a feed store down there. I won a heavy doe contest. Here's what happened. I had this deer rifle that was just awesome, 7 mag. And this doe come out about 40 yards and stopped broadside. And I said, I don't want to mess that meat up. So I put the bullet right at the crease of the back crease of that shoulder. And bam, and the doe just stood there for a minute and didn't even act like it was touched. And I thought, "Boy, what happened?
Oh, yeah.
Did my scope go haywire?" And that doe, honestly, Larry, I killed the doe, but that doe took off and ran. I bet it ran, left a trail, but I bet that doe ran over 100 yards through the woods. And I pinholed that when I field dressed it. That bullet just pushed right through. There was no bad bullet, number one. Now had I hit the deer in the shoulder or something, I'm sure it would have expanded and all that. But it probably didn't even touch a rib. But that was the very worst bullet for that kind of hunting. So bullets are important too.
Bullets really are important. They need to be accurate, and they need to have terminal performance, or whatever happens whenever it hits the animal, because you don't want them to expand too fast. You don't want them not to expand, which was the case there. And there it's probably because, depending on what bullet and ammo you were using, with that 7 mag, it was zipping along so fast. It just went zip through to where it was almost like you mentioned shooting a field point from a bow kind of thing. But to me, every once in a while you hear, "Oh my God, speed kills." Yeah, speed does kill when you're shooting bullets, but also you got to figure out what that bullet's going to do whenever it hits that animal, and what the controlled expansion does. And when it hits that animal, it opens up a pretty good wound channel, and then it all depends on what your thoughts are. And I'm being the individual, not yours or mine, but
Yep.
some people say, "Well, I want that bullet to extend all the energy into that animal." And the other person goes, "Well, I want it to go have that bullet hit that animal, tear up all kinds of vital tissue, and then exit so it's got a blood trail." And in some instances, even good bullets do really strange things. And a lot of times it depends on, how close they are too. With some of the PRC stuff, I've talked to guys says, "Well, I zipped right through it." Interesting, with the 7mm that I have, I shot a black bear, a couple of years ago now, I guess, up in Alberta, and shot him through the heart and lungs. And I mean, he was dead on his feet, but he swung around to the right. And when he did, I really wanted to see what kind of expansion I could get out of a bullet if I could recover one. And this was a 300+ pound bear, and it hit him right at the point of the hip and below the hip bone and all that kind of stuff. I recovered that bullet about 6 inches back from his neck. So that bullet traveled probably a good 4 feet or better. And that bullet was absolutely perfectly mushroomed. Now, the deal was that bear was only about 12 yards away. And so that's what I wanted to see, is what that bullet does up close. I knew what it did if you're shooting out at 300 yards or 200 yards or 100 yards. And I'm really cheating on the 300 yards, because the only time I did that is I shot a wild hog with one and then backed off to 300 yards and shot it to see what would happen if I could recover the bullet.
Right.
But,
yeah.
The thing about it is the ammo these days as a whole has come so very far in terms of accuracy and in terms of downrange performance. When Hornady started using the Doppler radar and all that kind of thing, they developed formulas from that really tell you what those bullets are going to do. And I've had such great success for so many years of shooting the Hornady bullets and the Hornady loads. I'd be very open about it. Unless there is an ammo for a particular rifle that I can't get from Hornady, that's the only time I'll get anything beside a Hornady. But and a 400 Legend was one. I carried one out to that lease out in West Texas last year and rattled up bucks and shot a couple of bucks with that 400 Legend. And at the time, Hornady did not make that ammo, but now they do. And so I just got some the other day, and not that I'm going to use that particular round all that much, but at least I've got some Hornady ammo for it. But shot placement too is you always want to, you don't only want to figure out where that bullet's going to go in, you want to figure out where that bullet's going to go out. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, it's like if he's quartering away from you, you might want to hit that animal, at the last rib on the side that you're seeing. You're trying to almost break that opposite shoulder. Or if he's kind of quartering to you, quartered such that that wait till that bullet is going to go in and pretty much go through the heart and lung area before it either lodges on the opposite side of the skin or exits, kind of thing. So, but with the bullets we have today, as I mentioned, as a whole, whether they're monolithic bullets, which are all pretty much the same copper, maybe with a little bit of alloy in it, or the copper and lead bullets, or whatever the combination is that they're using. These bullets and ammo that we have today, we've never had more accurate nor more, shall I say, killing ability bullets than what we do now.
You're right, Larry. You know, the 243. I'll put a disclaimer on this deal because I still have it. I gave it to my son, a Model 88 Winchester 243, little lever action gun, and they weren't known for long range precision shooting,
Right.
but it would keep it. That gun at 100 yards would consistently keep it in a 2-inch circle. And it had been shot a lot. I mean, I killed a ton of game with it. But I had a civil engineer, Earl Dealin, that was raised out around Dryden and Sheffield out in, far west Texas.
Yes, sir. West Texas, yes, sir.
He was a civil engineer he was my boss. And he also had a Model 88 243. And he was a hand loader, which I know. I shoot muzzle loaders, but as far as building shell, cartridges, right. I know very little about it. But he would load up. It was a Sierra. I never will forget. Bullet, of 105 grain. He says, "Luke, you shoot these in this 243." He said, "I've been doing this." He was a hand loader, and each year he would load me up a box. I don't know, 25. I'd go out and shoot 3 or 4 of them, make sure it was on. But that was an awesome. He said, "It's all about the bullet, Luke." And he was an engineer, So that's where I first learned that the bullet construction is, it's key to efficiently downing deer or hogs, whatever you're hunting, Larry. So that goes way back,
It really does. I'm glad you mentioned that old Model 88.
Yeah.
Winchester. My father-in-law had one in the 243, and occasionally I used it. And I can remember shooting. We were really just getting into shooting does at that time where I grew up, and I shot numerous does at much farther than what I had anticipated.
Yeah.
Taking the shot because we were kind of getting down to the last little bit. And that particular rifle, even though it wasn't the most accurate in the world, it was accurate enough to where, my gosh, out of 300 yards, if you had the right bullet, and shot placement, you could darn sure put down a doe. And I learned very quickly that I could with that particular rifle. That was a cool old lever action rifle.
It is. And they feel now, I haven't hunted with it. It's in my son's gun safe and cleaned, and it's there. He doesn't use it, but it looks little now. You pick it up, it just it feels little, short, and it is. But back then, I had a lot of good memories with that rifle. Well, Larry, thank you for coming back and talking some more deer hunting. It's deer season. Everybody's fired up. I know after all our wonderful radio stations air the show, it becomes a podcast. It's that podcast, friends, Catfish Radio with Luke Clayton and friends. We want you to listen to it right here on this radio station first. but after that, you can ride down the road. If you missed a little something that Larry might have had to say, you can hear it again. Thank you again, Larry. And next week, we're going to be right back here with everybody and checking in with everyone and talking some more deer hunting, I'll bet you.
Yes, we will. And I'll see you in deer camp around the campfire here in a very few days.
Folks, let's talk a little outdoor cooking. Let me tell you about an electric smoker that I've been using for 15 years, I guess. Smoking Tex electric smokers. If you're tired of staying up all night keeping that wood fire burning when you're barbecuing, give Smoking Tex a try. They're made to last a lifetime. You can check them out at smokingtex.com. That's SMOKINTEX.com. For seasonings, anything to do with outdoor cooking, all kind of jerky seasonings, sausage seasonings, Butcher Packer Supply. That's butcherpackersupply.com. I think the website is butcher-packer.com.
I want to tell you about a one-stop shop for everything related to game feeders and fish feeders, Ultramatic feeders. I've been using components and feeders from Ultramatic feeders for 20-something years, I guess. They have the remote, which you can remotely activate your feeder with, the timer, which is the most simple timer that I've ever found on a game feeder. And then the eliminator. Check these out. They are worked on actually on centrifugal force, and they seal off the corn supply so coons and squirrels can't get to the corn. Check them out. Ultramatic feeders, you could go online to ultramaticfeeders.com.
Big Sam left Seattle in the year of 92 with George Pratt, his partner, and brother Billy too. They crossed the
Friends, this segment is made possible by Platinum Cadillac and Chevrolet in Terrell, Texas. Stop by and visit with my buddy Mr. Justin Rudd and his team of experts and let them put you in a new Chevy pickup or a Cadillac or whatever you might be in the market for. Also, the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma. Check them out at ChoctawHuntingLodge.com. Also made possible by Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything airgun related. Well, friends, in the first half of our show, we had plenty of deer hunting talk, didn't we? Larry and I covered the gamut from 50 years ago to yesterday on hunting. Jeff Rice is my friend, our friend that's going to be, he's with us right now. He's standing by. We're going to talk about how the TV show called A Sportsman's Life that we do every week. Jeff and I started it, Jeff loves videography, and he's good at it, and he puts these shows together. But we're going to talk about A Sportsman's Life. Jeff, thank you for standing by and for being with us today.
Glad to be here, my friend. How are you this morning?
Yes, I'm just fine. And I know that the way The Sportsman's Life, you and I have been doing that how long, roughly? When we started.
We've been doing it just over 5 years, I believe. I think we started in like late 2004. I think you and I actually went catfishing in the creek at my place, Southeast Texas, and we were sitting there on the dock. I had my camera with me. I said, "Let's film this." So we did, and then if you recall, we had we were just chatting and stuff, and we thought, maybe we could do a little show, kind of an outdoor thing. Just keep it real, keep it truthful. If you catch a fish, great. If you don't, that's okay too. And it all kind of spawned from that event. If you recall, it was I think it was the Yantis Catfish Classic.
That's exactly
that you and I fished. And actually, if I recall, we took a fish in and we weighed one, and didn't win, but it was close. It was it was a pretty good sized catfish. But that's where it all started. That's just a little over 5 years ago. We've been doing that, and then we're up right now. I think I've got 320 some shows out there. So we've got 5 seasons of shows.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, about 2019, 2020. That's when it all kicked off. That's right. So that started things. And then Larry and I had been running around hunting together for years. And I then invited Larry down to your buck and bass. And we all got to be friends. And then, as I remember, Larry said something like, "Hey, how about I get in here with you guys?" And that was a open door there. We were happy to have Larry, and Larry has thoroughly enjoyed being in a structured setting. Shows that he had done previously for many years. Larry's a very visible person on TV because he had TV shows for years and years. But he's told me many times, he said, "I really enjoy the fact that we can do something." And very often, Jeff has got that show together the next week. And sometimes, within a matter of days, you can watch A Sportsman's Life. So it was a treat to have Larry with us. And I've had such a great time with you guys through the years, the past 5 years, putting these things together. And it's a varied show too, isn't it, Jeff? I mean, it's not about deer hunting only or hog hunting. It's a lot of different subjects are covered.
Oh, we cover the gamut, whether it's outdoor cooking, whether it's, visiting someplace it has the outdoor vibe or experience. And that's the kind of the fun thing of the show is we've kept it real. And we've done this, for just over 5 years, but we've done it weekly. And it's one of those things where every week we're together, or maybe you're off somewhere and you capture some film, and we kind of bring it all together. And it's been a wonderful ride. Having Larry on with us is just special. He's just a special guy, as you are. We three have a lot of fun together. We really do. And you're right. We don't pull stuff from last year and all old stuff. We try to keep it all fresh, brand new, weekly. So it's different than some of the shows you see out there. I mean, there's a lot of shows that, they capture stuff over the year, and the next year they're showing all last year's stuff. And they'll have, maybe 8 or 10 episodes or something like that, where we're a little bit different. We're geared more toward the real time stuff. And every week it's just, let's throw out something out there. What have we done this week? Where have we been? And our little adventures, and we've sure had fun along the way. And Lord willing, we'll be able to do a whole bunch more. We've got the deer season coming up here in a couple of weeks. Archery season opens, and there's just always something going on. But the thing that we've always kind of stuck to was, we don't have to shoot a deer, or you don't have to load the boat with fish or whatnot. It's real world. We go out, we have fun. This is what we do. And we're going to bring it to you one way or another, whether we do good or whether we don't do good. But we always have fun along the way. And, just good friends getting together, getting in the outdoors and doing what we love to do. And like you said, I mean, it's not just hunting deer. It could be, outdoor cooking. And I know this guy that knows how to cook outdoors, and that's Mr. Luke Clayton. And you are the master, and it's just fun. I learn a lot from you just watching your little clips you put together on outdoor cooking. And I think a lot of people along the way learn from us tips along the way. And that's kind of what we try to bring to our audience. Hey, have you ever shot an air gun? Here's a little bit about an air gun, and we talk about them, then we go out and use them, and people can see, what we do and the different things that we do. And of course, within our show, it's friends. We bring a lot of friends into the picture with us. I mean, we go out with a lot of guide friends, the David Hansons of the world, and, those kind of people. And we get out and have fun with them. And, it's just an adventure. Every day is an adventure when it comes to the outdoor world. And I couldn't be happier, spending my time with you and Larry and getting out there and doing those fun things and capturing the moment on video and sharing it with our viewing audience.
Yep, that's true, Jeff. And I've been an outdoor writer for 40 years almost now. So I've made a world of friends and contacts through the years. And Larry's got a lot of contacts. Those people that we know and have built relationships, written about, and all that through the years, it's not just you and I and Larry. It's like you said, David Hanson or the
Bill
Choctaw,
Carey,
Bill Carey or Buddy Bill up at Striper Express, or the Choctaw Hunting Lodge, or Maine, or whatever. We've been doing this stuff a long time. So it just honestly, it from my writing career, it's helped me to locate spots, interesting topics for us. But it's also I go out and do with you and you and Larry, whatever, and film. Well, I get that, but I also get fodder for my articles and things. So it was a piece of the puzzle that I really I was happy to find. Doing the video. And the fact is that you have got a passion for video, and you're good at it. You've learned a lot through doing this. And putting those shows together,
Absolutely.
Folks are probably wondering, well, A Sportsman's Life. I know a lot of people, probably the first time they've heard about it, but they can find it on YouTube easily, can't they, Jeff?
Oh, yeah. Just go to YouTube, the search engine in YouTube, type in A Sportsman's Life, and you will find us. It'll pop right up. Also, you can go to carbontv.com if you just want to go on your computer, and you'll see many outdoor shows on Carbon TV. And of course, you can just go in under the shows and look up A Sportsman's Life there as well. And you'll see our videos there also. And yeah, it's easy to find. And the fun thing is you can go back on either Carbon or YouTube and see all of our shows. I mean, you over 300 some shows that you can choose from, and it's always another adventure somewhere out there, and we sure have fun doing it. And yeah, but it's very easy to find. I highly encourage you all to get out there and if you might want to learn something about, like I said, maybe outdoor cooking, or big bore air guns, or maybe a dove hunt or a big deer hunt, or
yeah,
catfish in the creek. You're going to find all that stuff out there on our show. So I encourage everybody to get out there and check it out.
You bet, Jeff. Well, I thought it would be fun to devote this little segment to a sportsman's life. That's something that's big in all of our lives, something we do weekly. So thank you for helping me describe what a sportsman's life is all about. And when you get there, friends, especially on YouTube, you can subscribe. So, as they say, hit that button, right, Jeff?
Absolutely, because you're going to see every week. You're going to see another show pop up, and you can come join us on our adventure. And it's real world outdoors. That's what we do. We have fun along the way, and folks, come join us.
For about the past decade, I've been hunting editor for Airgun Hobbyist magazine. I think the only magazine devoted strictly to airgun shooting and hunting in the country. Well, in that length of time, I've learned quite a bit about big bore air guns and smaller calibers too. A spot to go to that if you're interested in air guns, you need to know about Pyramid Air. The website is PYRAMYD, pyramidair.com. They have anything and everything you need, from the guns themselves, the big bores or the smaller calibers, to the accessories. Just remember pyramidair.com, and there's a number when you get on the website if you need to call and talk to somebody. Give them a buzz, and they can fill you in on little details that you might need to know about shooting or hunting with big bore air guns.
The snowflakes fall as winter comes, and time just seems to fly.
Friends, this segment is brought to us by CVA muzzleloaders. In my opinion, the very best muzzleloaders in the world, the ones that I shoot. You can check them out online, cva.com. Kubi's Wild Game Processing and Kubi's Restaurant in Dallas, and Vineyard Max, maker of some awesome deer attractant and some very fine game feeders and fish feeders, located down in Nacogdoches, Texas. Check them out at vineyardmax.net. Well, friends, I hope you've enjoyed our show thus far. I've had a good time visiting with Mr. Whitetail, my buddy Larry Weishuhn, and my good friend Jeff Rice. Hope we've covered some topics that were of interest to you. If you like to hunt and fish, I bet we did, I did allude to the fact that for over a decade, I've been hunting editor for an air gun magazine. It's called Airgun Hobbyist. It's all about big bore and large caliber and small caliber air guns. So you can imagine doing what I do for them as the hunting editor. I've shot a lot of different air guns, both big bore and smaller. The PCP guns, now I really have an interest in those. Those are the ones that you pressure up with a compressor or an air tank. Now, the first one, Air Force Air Guns, came out with the Texan years back, and I was privileged to shoot one of the first 10 prototypes, not as a tester, but just to put them to work hunting, and is a 45 caliber. I was highly impressed. I still have that gun. Still shoots like the day I bought it or got it there from Air Force. So it's the Texan came out. Well, Air Force Air Guns came out with an awesome, even more powerful gun. It's a 51 caliber called the Tex Rex. You can Google it there, Tex Rex by Air Force Air Guns. Check it out. This thing, I've had the model that I've got now for about 2 weeks, and I've been shooting it quite a bit. It's absolutely amazing that you can get that much power from air. Now, this thing pressures up to 4,500 psi. Think about that a little bit. That's a lot of pressure. And the biggest bullet, I believe, is a 620 grain. A guy named Vogel, Robert Vogel, Mr. Hollow is his name. He makes some awesome bullets for these things. But I didn't really want to shoot a 620 grain bullet. I downscaled, if you can call it downscaling, to a 385 grain hollow point by Mr. Hollow Point. It makes them. This thing is, I haven't had a chance yet to hunt with it. I'm planning on a hog hunt here in the next 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 nights, I should say. I put a ATN Excite digital scope on it, which is good for daytime or nighttime hunting. You use an IR at night, of course, with a digital. It's not thermal. But I thought that'd be the ideal sight or scope, to put on that thing. I've got it sighted in at 100 yards, and it's shooting a 2-inch group. So people ask me, how many shots can you shoot with 4,500 PSI? About 3 is the answer. I would shoot, and I hunt with these things. I'm not a bench shooter. I mean, I shoot at the bench to sight things in, then I'm all about how far can I effectively hunt with it. Well, this Tex Rex, at the first 2 shots out of that thing at 100 yards, they're going to be within 1.5 inches, 2 inches every time. And then that third shot, just a tad lower, not much. I'm talking about maybe 1 inch, maybe 2 inches, just depends on how steady old Luke can hold. But I want you to check these things out. Now, they're at the top end. They're the most powerful, production PCP guns that I know about. There might be others. I know they're probably, but this, I mean, I can't imagine getting more power than that out of an air rifle. Now, I've killed a lot of hogs. I'm talking about, I probably killed 25 or 30 hogs, estimating, with a Dragon Claw, Seneca Dragon Claw, that pressures up to 3,000 psi. That'll get the job done. Don't think it won't. They have the Seneca 2 now. It's a little bit more powerful. So that's an option. I mean, but I use that a lot for sneaking in close at night. I keep thermals on there, the ATN on it too. I've got on my Seneca Dragon Claw, I've got a ATN Thor, which is a thermal scope, which you can use day or night. Some people think thermals are strictly for night hunting, but they're not. They work fine. Now, the thing about a digital scope, you can use it's color, and you can use it just like filming. If you film through the scope in the daylight, it's almost like using a 4K camera. I mean, the video is awesome. So that's 2 ends of the spectrum. Now, would I take the Seneca Dragon Claw and be shooting at a hog at extreme distances? By that, I'm talking about 100 yards. I wouldn't. I mean, it probably would do it. Your shot would have to be perfect. But I use 60 yards or closer for my Dragon Claw. But this Tex Rex, I'm going to tell you, is a war horse, is a good way to describe it. That thing is extremely powerful. And I would have no qualms if when I go hunting here a couple of nights from now, I'm not going to now, I do think I could kill hogs a lot farther away than 100 yards, but I just don't shoot them that far. I'd have to know exactly the bullet drop. I'd have to know how far out and all that. I just like to me, hunting hogs is a lot of it is getting up close, getting in close and making a good shot. And I like to hunt them for meat. I usually shoot as a rule, if a big old boar's out there, or if he's if I'm hunting on a farmer's land that wants me to kill the big ones, well, I will. But a lot of times if I find a fat sow that weighs about 100 pounds, that's what I'm looking for. I'm thinking about pork chops and maybe back straps, and I even cure my own hounds at times, and smoke them at home. So I thought it'd be fun to just kind of recap the air gun world to you. A place to buy anything and everything for air guns is Pyramid Air. you can go online to pyramidair.com. You can ask questions. You can get, I guess they stock every popular air gun on the market right now. So you can also check out the Tex Rex if you want to, a really powerful one that should be shooting out there a long ways. You can check out the Seneca Dragon Claw. That's two that I've hunted with a great deal. Well, actually, the Texan I've hunted with a lot. The Tex Rex looks like it's built just like a Texan. The stock is the air bottle. That's with a butt plate on it. That's the stock on the Air Force design. Absolutely awesome. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed our show. I've had a big time being with everybody. Do remember this show, after it runs on all of our great radio stations, becomes a podcast. And that podcast is called Catfish Radio with Luke Clayton and friends. So go there and subscribe. Listen to us on the radio for sure first. That's where you're going to hear us first every week. But then if you miss something or you'd like to hear it again or whatever, Catfish Radio with Luke Clayton and friends on all the formats where you can listen to podcasts. Folks, thanks for being with me. Hopefully you're ready for bow season. Hopefully you might already have a buck on the ground. We'll talk about that next week. Folks, that about wraps our show up for this week. I've enjoyed being with you, and I hope you've had a good time, too. And, folks, we're also brought to you by the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma, located about, 45 minutes west of Hugo, Oklahoma, owned by the Choctaw Nation. It's about 45,000 acres of awesome mountain, country, hills, valleys, loaded with game. Lots of eastern turkey, and they do eastern turkey hunts if you're looking for a spot to hunt turkey in the spring.